Welcome to OTCL 520, week number 5. I hope this is being a very enlightening term for you. I'm certainly enjoying interacting with all of you, and it has been a really great time. I am really pleased with the way you all are advancing and how hard you're working. This week, we worked through chapters 10 and 11. Chapter 10 discusses the Hebrew construct chain. Now, you don't see this in many other languages, but you do see it in the Semitic languages because they do not indicate case with endings. On the one hand, that's really great because you don't have to memorize a bunch of paradigms like you have to do in Greek. On the other hand, it can be a little bit confusing figuring out what's going on in a sentence. The textbook summarizes the whole chapter in the first paragraph. It tells you that you should translate it into English with the word of, O-F. And that shows the relationship between the two words that are in front of you. Now, there are variations and there are some rules to all of this, but the translations into English should help you out with that. Chapter 11 discusses numbers. Ordinarily, counting in numbers in Hebrew is done with the masculine absolute. So on page 113, at 11.2, the very first column is what people use to count with, even in modern Israel. It'd be an excellent thing to memorize this, and as you walk through life, count things. Echad, shenayim, shalosh, arba, like how many steps you take, how many cars pass you by on the road. Also make sure to get the accents down. Now on page 117, you have the ordinal numbers. Now, these are numbers that go in order. Numbers are not my best friend, but I do know that ordinal numbers do go in order, first, second, third, and fourth. And you'll note by form, there's a strong relationship between the ordinals and the cardinals. You may notice that the very first number on page 113 is the cardinal number 1. And it may interest you to know that that is the word used at Genesis 1:5 to talk about the very first day. Now, Moses could have used the ordinal number, and that has the same root as the very first word in the Bible, in the beginning. That would have been an excellent literary touch on his part, but he doesn't do that. Deliberately, he uses the word one. Now, this distinction cannot be overstated. He is saying there has not been anything like this before. In point of fact, this is the beginning of time. Even though the rest of the days in the chapter are ordinals. Exegetically, this is a tremendous distinction, and now you can understand that distinction. In my habit of talking about books, which I love, I want to talk about the New International Dictionary of Old Testament Theology and Exegesis. It's 5 volumes. It's much larger than the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament that I mentioned last week. This one is not quite as conservative. However, the work done is very good, and it is a series of word studies. And now that you know the Hebrew alphabet, you can work your way through it. The first volume has some tremendously important essays on how to understand word studies, how to do word studies, and to make them important in your work in the Bible. I hope you can pick this up. Since Christmas is coming, maybe this is a good thing to get a handle on for your Christmas list. I hope you have a great week, and may the Lord bless you in your studies of His Word.